Let's talk about the one person who's done the right thing. Liz Cheney.
I thought you were going to say me.
No, I'm kidding. We have this story from Yahoo News. New poll indicates a Liz Cheney presidential run would hurt Biden more than Trump. It can be simply shown in this chart, in this graph right here. If Liz Cheney were to run as an independent, Democrats would vote for her, helping Donald Trump win. And based on this polling, they're actually saying right now, and this is another, I don't necessarily believe all this. They're saying right now, based on their polling data, Joe Biden would beat Donald Trump in an election if it was held today, or at least at the time of this poll. Support for Joe Biden, 46%, Trump's 42%. But if Liz Cheney runs as an independent, Joe Biden 32%, Cheney 11%, Trump 40%.
I would be very interested to know what the poll would say if a DeSantis were to run endorsed by Trump and those two. I think it would be a landslide. I think he would do very well.
People need to understand too, landslides, it doesn't mean like 80% of the general public votes for the candidate. It means like 55% does. And this results in a massive swing in the Electoral College. You end up with all the states. There's a thing, people were saying that Trump won in a landslide against Hillary. He won 3 states that got him over, and it was by 88,000 votes. So that's not a landslide, but in the Electoral College, it came out to like a decent number of electoral votes that he ended up winning.
But the electoral votes are shifting. New York lost 2 and Florida gained 2.
California, I think, lost 1 too, right?
Yeah, when you have these policies that cause a mass exodus of intellectual individuals, they're going to find refuge. They are refugees. And that's what I try to tell people when they come from my home state of Connecticut to Georgia or to Florida. Like, you are not a prophet. Please don't come here with the politics that I left. You are a refugee. So
they do, and it's worse than that. They bring other people with them.
I haven't really been seeing that. In the Southeast, I've been seeing individuals coming there and acting as refugees, saying, hey, we are here because where I left is not good and it's getting worse, because what you guys have going on in Georgia and in Florida is better than where I left, and I don't want to mess that up.
Elon Musk was in California. People who live in California, 2-1 are Democrats. Elon Musk moves to Texas and opens the Gigafactory. A lot of these employees, I'm assuming, maybe I'm wrong, I'm assuming he didn't fire everybody in California, right? Probably transferred a bunch of them. That's a bunch of California progressives being moved into Austin. So I do think there are more refugees than there are people transferring because of work policy. But depending on the size of the industry and of the individual, they might bring, for every one high net worth individual who's like, hey, I believe in liberty and freedom, they might bring 10 woke employees with them.
AT&T moved to Dallas, the Dallas area, I think in 2012. I could be wrong on that. And they were based in California before that. So they also transferred their employees out there. I'm sure some had the option to leave the company, stay. A lot came to Dallas. It really blew up a couple of the suburbs in the Dallas area. And this is prior to Trump being elected. The shift towards pro-business states has been going on for a long time. It wasn't just COVID and politics that started mass migration of people with maybe not the political leanings of the states they were ultimately ending up in. I think COVID just made it much more of a intentional choice for some people. There was much more of an examination of the life you were living because you were suddenly stuck at home having to reconsider what you really wanted.
Well, look at the flexibility that people were able to gain once we realized that you could work virtually, right? Mm-hmm. So individuals who were working for companies that could now work at home chose to not live in a degrading society, right? Meaning the crime is up, the bang for your buck is down, and it only seems to be getting worse. Those individuals are the ones that I see leaving in mass exodus. They're not leaving because their business massive company moved, so they had to move with it. They're moving because they have the freedom and flexibility to choose to not live in New York City, to choose to not live in LA. And they've decided that that's not for them anymore, that they don't want to live in fear of walking down the street and getting mugged and raped and murdered because there's lawlessness in LA. It's like zombie land. My manufacturing partners are out there, and when I go out there, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. It's straight up zombie land.
Yeah. I remember for a while Maine offered this program where if you were a remote worker, you could come live in Maine and get, I don't remember if it was money towards a house or a tax credit or something like that. Maine has an aging population and they don't have a ton of industry. So they really do want remote workers to come in and repopulate, have kids, have young families. Obviously, Maine is beautiful, lots of outdoor stuff. There is a reason you would want to be there. It's just not possible if you can't work there. And this was way before COVID. I mean, this was happening, again, I think it was like 2010. But at the time, there were not as many remote positions as there are now. I think that we'll continue to see states with low birth rate or older populations trying to incentivize remote workers to come out. Because again, if you can work, have a steady job and work wherever you want, you are much more likely to choose a place that's reflective both of your political or ideological values, but also of a lifestyle that you want to live.
Delaware figured it out. Delaware figured a lot of it out. There's a lot of states that drive business away, and it's really interesting how the economics of this work. If you're an ice cream shop, you register your business in the state because you're like in the state. But if you do national level business, why would you not be in Delaware? The laws, the restrictions, the taxes in every state are cumbersome. So this is why every corporation, not literally every, but like most of them will just open up in Delaware. I think Nevada is another one.
And Wyoming is good too.
But now even California was leading the charge of how to ruin their online business and tax income. Because right now, because of recent laws in the last few years, Wayfair versus I think it was North Dakota.
Oh yeah, yeah. And there was that Title IX or whatever that thing was.
So sales tax is now collected in all 50 states once you hit Nexus threshold, right? So California is actually one of my largest states, right? We send millions of dollars of product there. Sales tax, fine. I collect sales tax, I give it to you. As of lately, now California is saying, actually, we want a percentage of our income tax as well. So I'm a Georgia resident. I pay Georgia state income tax at 7%, which is still higher than 0, which is Florida, right? I'm sure I could probably find ways around it, and I don't feel like going to IRS jail or getting shot by that dude in the wheelchair for whatever reason.
You saw the video.
The IRS tactical training. Yeah. I don't even know why they have guns, but okay. So I have been told now I'm expected, according to California, to pay taxes as if I was a California resident because in their mind, I'm a resident. I have no physical property. I've never go to the state for more than 24 hours because I hate it. Not because of the beautiful scenery, just no offense, the people. They're insane. So
well, I mean, the climate's bad too. Like they're in a drought. It's like not going all
that
that
well. The political environment, the discussions, the focus of their attention on what I consider silly things. I'm not a big fan. And I definitely don't want to pay 17% sales tax to a state that I don't physically go to. Like it's my company.
And they're saying on all your revenue.
Yes, yeah. That apportionment of it gets taxed at 17%. So obviously I politely declined and said that according to federal laws is this, and that'll be another Supreme Court ruling to see if we now as internet-based companies have to start paying these insane taxes. So I don't even know how that would work. So I pay 17% tax to California and 12% to New York and all this. I would have
Nothing.
$0 left over. And I don't understand how people don't get business, right? I started my garage. I sold my car to buy my first machine. I sold my house to buy another machine. By the way, when you're deploying a bunch, no notice, and you have a pregnant wife with 2 kids and a Great Danes and you move them into an apartment that does not.
They don't like it?
They don't like that. But, it's a sacrifice, right? So we continue to sacrifice and put everything all in. And now I'm at a point where the level of taxes that I pay as compared to Amazon, I pay tens of millions of dollars more than Amazon has. And that is absolutely ludicrous. So,
but it's obvious why. You will own nothing and you will be happy.
I think that is the plan. I will always be happy, and I think that happiness is on you.
We don't do any business with California in any possible way. It's a strict company policy. California is state non grata for us, however it would actually be stated. And we've had people who hit us up and like, hey, we'd love to work with you, or like we want to submit an article, or we're looking for work, and I'm just like, as long as you're in California, there's not a conversation to be had. And to put it simply, California has laws. In order to just not run afoul, we just do not do any operations in any capacity with anyone in the state of California.
Oh, no, I'm being sued right now by a blind man in New York and another person in California who's saying that my website is not blind accessible, which it is, by the way, for full, if anyone who's listening to this and happens to not be able to see, you can absolutely go to 9lineapparel.com and it will talk to you just as it's supposed to. But anyone can sue anyone from those states, and they're very not happy, but I guess they encourage it. So I will spend tens of thousands of dollars on these frivolous lawsuits in California and in New York, and I won't get a change of venue to Georgia because they know they won't win in Georgia, and they're just hoping that these mid-sized company, they're not going after mom and pop, and they're not going after Coca-Cola, right? They're going to go after individuals that they think have the ability to pay, but they don't have the ability to kind of fight it out, right? So there's hundreds of thousands of these lawsuits that are allowed, and all they do is just hurt the bottom line for people like me, who, I don't know how to get around it. I don't know how to advocate. I don't know how to tell people about it because, like you said, shut down my Facebook account, not national news. Go and sue me because a blind person says they tried to go buy something from my website. Not a good news story, but deal with it. And these are the policies that New York and California are encouraging, and they destroy businesses, and to the point where, I have another company called Hoist that does military hydration, and they're now telling us that the product is not in compliant with California's blah 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 standards. I'm not a lawyer, right? I just have to go get different lawyers to figure out why I could sell to everywhere else, but apparently it's California has a different standard of consumables.
What is it that you're selling with Hoist?
Hoist is military hydration. So we sell it to the government for and make sure our troops stay hydrated. Imagine a drink that I can't say that you were given when you're really dehydrated, as a medical treatment. Rhymes with Schmedialite, but it tastes horrible, right? So it's like that, but tastes good. So we sell it to the government. And then we also sell it to now civilian venues like Publix and Walmart and everywhere else. But in California, it's getting same co-packers, same people who make Coca-Cola products make this product, but they're not going to go sue Coca-Cola. They're just going to sue Hoist or companies like me.
It's because of label. They want it to say may have been created in a lab that may have had access to lead or something like that.
Something. It's their Title 19 California Act that just came full force a couple months ago. It's California. They're going to find some other way to mess with business and then complain that they have no income tax and that they're bankrupt and they need the federal government to
People need to get out of California.
I did. I liked it at first. I thought I had to be there because I was an actor. So I thought, well, it's New York or LA. This was 2005. And so in 2006, I moved to Los Angeles. I was in Chicago for a while too, and I lived there for 5 years. I was really depressed. I didn't like it. It smelled the brake dust. I don't know what, but my hypertension was was up, and I left. And then I went back in 2014, 15 because I was like, well, it's LA. I'm going to give it another shot. Maybe I'll just. But I realized by that point, the internet. I'm working remote. I don't need to be in LA. I was on the 6th floor, and I didn't drive the second time around, which turned it into a whole better experience. But still. It was dirty chaos, man. It's you got the ocean. There's benefits to it. And
you're right, Ian. We should just move the show to St. Kitts and Nevis.
We should go offshore.
This show could be done anywhere in the world.
I might start working remotely.
I mean, I love your spot. Honestly, this is middle nowhere. This is my jam. You got chickens.
Got chickens.
I get anxiety when I'm in New York City, when I'm in LA, when I'm around a large populated area of mostly angry people. And I understand why you're angry. I used to have to go to school in New York City. It took me 3.5 hours just to get there and then deal with very angry people who didn't like my All Lives Matter shirts, except for ISIS. F those guys. I would wear it all the time. It was funny. But it was during the whole Blue Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter and all these different Lives Matter debates. And people just literally would lose their mind and freak out. And I'd be walking down the street with my large female African-American, West Point friend and calling her and Uncle Tom and telling me mean things. And I'm like, I hate New York City. I cannot wait to leave. And I get back to Savannah and it's just zen. Everyone is very nice. There's no honking of horns. There's, it's a different way of life. And
the cities are falling apart, man.
They are.
Yeah.
It's because of leadership, though. Because I'll tell you, New York City wasn't.
Lack thereof.
Giuliani's a friend. Bernie Carrick, the police commissioner in New York City, is a really good friend. Under their leadership, during that 9/11, pre 9/11, post 9/11, the crime rates, the just everything about the city was so much better. And you change that leadership. And you watch what happens.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.